my internet good? My picture good and all that?
Yes, everything is
Okay,
good.
Victor just jumped back in. I was just telling Victor, can you hear me, Victor?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was just telling Ravi, I just got to the Ozarks. We got a mastermind this weekend, and the lighting in this room is not good. It's real dark in here, I think kind of by design. So we got like lamps pulled up, and we're trying to give the best lighting we can. We got this thing in the background here. So we'll just do the best we can. I'm not exactly sure how many people are going to jump on. We narrowed down the group very, very narrow this week because we basically only allowed the people. What I was doing was a lot of the people I was allowing in on Wednesdays only that had joined me in other programs, and I kind of cut that off this week. So if you only way that anybody's got access is if they bought the bank financing. So I'm sure that we've sold a bunch of them, but this is really late notice for everybody because we were driving. It took me 6 hours to get here, and I didn't want to commit to a time and then not make it. So we literally just told everybody this would join like, what, an hour ago? Yeah. So anyway, everybody will have the recording, so I'm not going to wait around forever. You guys were able to jump on. I got a lot of really, really powerful stuff to share. The cool thing is, you guys, I have never shared any of the stuff I'm sharing right now. I've never taught it on a one-on-one. I've never taught it during my days when I was doing all of Dean Graziosi's training that I used to. For 8 years, I created all of Dean Graziosi's training, all his real estate education. Never shared it then. And, I don't know why. I just never got around to creating it. And it's really powerful stuff. And so I want to jump into it. So what we're going to discuss today, and I'm going to give you guys my personal financial statement template that I basically just took mine and made it super simple. Mine's got hundreds of properties on it. I made it super simple so anybody can just plug into it and use it. But it's really powerful. And there's a lot of stuff to teach when it comes to banking. And you can't find this stuff anywhere. I don't know if that's because most people just don't know it. I've done over 2,000 bank loans. And that's not only mortgages and lines of credit and all that stuff. I've been around the block. I've had 2 CFOs that worked for me. One of the CFOs was a banker. And because he was a banker, he knew all of the tricks of the trade. So I learned a lot from him. I network with a lot of bankers. And because of my my income, my net worth, and all that stuff, I get invited to a lot of cool stuff. The problem is nobody wants me to share this stuff. I've literally gotten phone calls from bankers and said, hey, I heard about you're doing something training with how you do bank loans. And I just don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if I want you to share that stuff. So it's kind of funny. So it's it's almost like a good old boys club. But I'm rolling back the curtain. So we're going to roll into it. I'm excited about this. This next 4 weeks is going to be super, super powerful. By the way, guys, the internet seems pretty strong here. It wasn't when we first got here. It seems strong now. If I start to fade or anything, pop a message in there real quick so I know what's happening. Okay.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to miss any of this stuff. So let's kind of jump into this. So first of all, why do you need this stuff? Why is this stuff so important? Why doesn't anybody talk about this? So a personal financial statement. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen briefly here. Let's see here. Let's do. It's there's nobody. I'm going to do a quick screen share. Hang on, guys. I want to show you what we're going to look at. And then have you be able to toggle back and see it that way. All right, I'm going to share this real quick here, and then I'm going to pop back off. So desktop, share. Okay, so guys, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
You see all this? Okay, so we're going to go through this. This is the template based around my personal, like this is a version of mine. It's the same thing I use, only mine's different because mine has a lot more properties and a lot of other assets and stuff like that. I dumbed it down, but I just want to show you real quickly, like some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. So So I'm going to go back from here and jump back and stop share so we can focus on the other stuff for now. So let's talk about why what I just showed you is so important. Then we're going to jump back into that spreadsheet. You guys are getting a copy of this. You'll add this right to your portfolio and you'll fill it out just like I have done. So you're getting that. So don't stress right now, even though we're doing a video, this recording you can watch later, but you're getting that copy. You can build yours out from there. That's how I did it. So why do you need this? Well, most people, let me tell you, when the world changed in 2008, and banking before 2008 was really easy. I don't know if you guys were doing deals back then, but I started in 05. And in 2005, when people needed, now I didn't know all the ins and outs of loans and stuff. I was brand new to real estate, so I didn't have a lot of bank loans before that. But in before 2008, when somebody needed a loan, they went to a bank and said, "Hey, I found a great property and I want to buy it. Will you give me a loan on it?" And they basically said, yes. That's how it worked. I mean, it was almost that easy. Once 2008 hit and the Fed stepped in and the regulators, now we're going to get into the regulators and what that means and what the two groups of regulators there are that control the banks now. That's a separate video we're going to talk later this month. But once the regulators got involved and all of the stuff changed, all of a sudden documentation was everything. The problem is most people don't even know what to document. Hey, Jack, we're just getting started, Jack, so you haven't missed much yet. You can go back and watch the first 8 minutes or 9 minutes and catch up, okay? Can you hear me, Jack? You there? He can't hear me, I don't think. Everybody else can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Everybody good? Thumbs up? Okay. So
Yes.
maybe hit the Jack later. Okay, so once 2008 hit, documentation became the rule, okay? Before 2008, nobody did documentation. And so most people that go to a bank, thumbs up, Jack? I don't know, can he hear me or not? Anyway, we'll keep moving. I got to keep moving, guys. So most of the people, when they want to get a loan, even now, even to this day, when they want to get a loan on a property, they call a bank and they say, "Hey, I've got a property and I want a loan on it and it's a really good deal." They don't understand what the bank wants to see, and they definitely don't understand what the bank wants to see as far as the asset itself that they're trying to get a loan on, or any other assets that they have. So that's one thing. When I got the call in 2008 from my banker who I was getting loans from, I still remember exactly where I was at that day. That phone rang, 08, world's crashing. Banker calls me, "Matt, the loans that we've been giving you, they're gone. We cannot do those loans for you any longer." And everything changed at that point. So what happened was I drove a old beat up. Now this is in 2008. This is only 12 years ago, you guys. The stuff I'm going to show you can absolutely skyrocket your net worth and your assets very quickly. You'll see why in a minute. So 08 hits, Matt, phone call, "Matt, we can't do the loans that we were doing for you anymore. They're gone. They disappeared. Don't call us. We can't give you any loans. We're not doing anything." So most people probably gave up at that point. I drove a Ford Taurus, dented on both sides. That's what
You cut off, Matt. Looks like it's just us.
I'm back, guys. I'm back.
There you
As
are.
soon as it dropped, I realized it. So I don't think we're going to miss anything here. Everybody can hear me again?
Yeah.
Or sorry, guys. I'm dealing with the hotel internet. We've got the most powerful internet they're offering. So I'm not going to let you guys miss any of this. So just hang with me. If we drop off again, I'll jump back in. I'm going to cover everything today, no matter what. So 2008. Driving around my old beat up Ford Taurus, trying to figure out the banking world. My banker says we can't do any loans for you anymore. All that's gone. We're shut down. I put a phone book this thick in the front seat of my car. And every single day I'm driving all the time. Not only am I driving from Michigan to Illinois every weekend because I lived in Michigan and my properties that I was buying was in Illinois, Iowa. So I had a 7-hour trip each way. Plus, as I'm driving around all day long, every day, that phone book's in my front seat. I'm calling banks. I called every single bank in the phone book. I did not miss one of them. And every time I called them, if I had to call again, I would ask for a different person. And I asked question after question after question. I probably made 1,000, no joke, no exaggeration. I probably made 1,000 phone calls to figure out what I'm going to teach you guys over the next 4 weeks. So I'm asking questions, trying to figure it out. So what I found out was banks still wanted to lend money, but they didn't want to lend money to everybody. They wanted to lend more money to less people. So for me, I realized I had to get really sharp at figuring out what the banks wanted, because they didn't want to do business with everybody anymore. Pre-2008, they wanted to do business with everybody. After 2008, they wanted to do business with 20% of the people, but do more loans with those people. They wanted to drive depth and relationships. And relationships became super, super important. I'm not saying that banking relationships weren't important prior to 2008, but I'm telling you right now, after 2008, they're the most important thing. So rule number 1 is relationships. You get everywhere you need to be with banks if they like you, okay? You have to build a relationship. And the way you're going to build relationships is some of the stuff I'm going to teach you. If you look like a rock star, if you ask smart questions, these people say, this guy's asking me stuff nobody else is asking me. This is the type of person I want to work with. Now, here's the process, you guys. I don't know how many bank loans you guys have had, but like I said, I've done thousands of them, and I know the process. So what happens is when you find a bank that you are comfortable with, that basically answers all the questions. Now, I'm going to give you guys all the questions. It's in a later video, but you're getting this. So don't worry. I'm not going to miss a beat. We're not going to leave a single rock unturned. But when you ask the bank a series of questions that I lay out for you, and you find a bank that you say, hey, this bank looks like a good fit, the next step after that is for you to submit your financials to the bank, okay? Now, the financials are going to include not only your tax returns, they're going to ask you for 3 years of tax returns. People always ask me, it's the silliest stuff, but it's like silly to me, but at one time I didn't know the answer either. But people always ask me, I can't get a bank loan. And I'm like, why not? Well, because my banker told me I had to have a job, and I quit my job 6 months ago, and now I don't have a paycheck income. Like, that does not matter at all if you know how to submit your financials correctly. It doesn't matter. I haven't had a paycheck from a job since 2008, November 7th, 2008 to be exact, and I never had a problem getting loans. So that can't be an answer. So I'm going to show you why. The bank wants to see income. They don't care where the income comes from. It can come from wholesaling. It could come from rental properties. It could come from, I don't care where, but the fact that the income came from a job before means nothing now. So, step 1, it goes from, okay, I found a bank I want to work with. Step 2 is I got to submit my financials. So that submission to financials, the banker you're talking to, the banker you've just built a relationship with, or you're starting to, and you've asked them questions and you've been on the phone with them. Now you've decided you want to work with them. Now you're going to send your financials. That guy is not going to do underwriting. Okay. The underwriting is a different person in the bank. Okay. So underwriting is not done by your banker. This is all going to tie together soon enough. Okay. Just take some notes. And if you have questions, no problem. I'll answer them for you. But the underwriter is not the banker you're dealing with 95% of the time. Maybe if it's a small enough bank, they got an office the size of this hotel room, and they've got, I'm the banker and I'm the underwriter. Sometimes that's the case. Very rare though. The reason why is a banker's a salesperson. Did you guys realize that? A banker is a salesperson. They are not a financial person. They are a salesperson. They're selling you to try to get you to do loans, but they only want to work with you if you're amazing and you submit the stuff the right way and you've organized stuff and made their life easy. And they have to sell the loan to the board. We're going to get into that in a minute. Another very important piece. So once the underwriter gets your personal financial statement and 3 years of tax returns, that's what they want, okay? Always have that stuff ready in a Dropbox. When a banker says, I need 3 years of tax returns and your personal financial statement, you should be able to send that to them in 5 minutes or less. Why is that important? Because you want to look like the person that's easy to work with, and when something's needed, boom, you get it and you're there, okay? So, again, you send your financials. The average person, when a banker says, hey, you say you own 5 properties, can you send me your personal financial statement? And they send them a piece of paper with handwritten, here's my address on my property and here's what the rent is. That is what you're competing with, guys. That's 95% of the people. That's why they don't get loans. Or if they do, wait until the banker meets you and you actually do this the right way, the way I'm going to show you. So you don't send your financials on a piece of paper, handwritten on a piece of paper. Have your 3 years of tax returns handy in a Dropbox and your personal financial statement. The whole purpose of you being on today is we're going to teach you how to build a badass financial statement. You guys have better financials than what you probably even realize. You just haven't learned how to put them together yet. Okay, so once it goes through underwriting, now that underwriter doesn't know you and you don't know them. It's somebody working in the basement of the bank. They're crunching numbers all day. If you make their life easy and they go back to the banker, here's what my bankers always tell me. Man, Matt, you got a big portfolio, but man, the underwriter sure love you. The way you've submitted your financials are so easy, you've made their life easy. That's what you want to hear. Okay, if you make the underwriter's job easier, they get your underwriting done faster, and if they like you, they're going to give you a better, like, hey, this is a good guy we should be lending money to. Guys, I'm telling you, I just it's so rare for me to get turned down for a loan, and I scare banks. Like, I'm too big to fail. If you have 1 loan or 2 loans or 5 loans with a bank and you stop paying, you have a problem, right? But if you have hundreds of loans with a bank and you stop paying, the bank has a problem, right? I'm too big to fail. If I go down, the banks go down too, and that's no BS, guys. So be easy to work with, have easy to look at financials. You're going to have that after today. So one thing I want to tell you though, so that underwriter gets done. After the underwriter's done, after the underwriting is done, the next step is for your loan, your specific. So there's 2 steps here. One is, are you financeable? Here's your financials. Here's your tax returns. Here's your PFS. That's step 1. Okay. You got to get through that step before you submit a property to have the banks approve you on. Now, I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to get into it today. It's going to be in a later lesson this month. I'm going to show you something that nobody does that makes getting loan. Like when I pick a house to buy, you guys, and I use a bank to finance that, it doesn't take me 45 days to close. I can close that loan in 3 weeks, and I don't have to go through underwriting again. I do it once up front. It's called a guidance line of credit. Anybody can do it. if you know how to set it up. Most people don't know how to set it up, and most banks have it available, but yet they don't use it because most people don't ask. I ask and they say, yes, we have that. We can do it. But if you don't ask, they're not going to do it. We'll get into the guidance line of credit later. It's not a typical line of credit. It's not really even a line of credit per se. It's a whole way to get bank loans. It's the most streamlined way to do it. It's the fastest way to do it and the best way to do it. Then you're locked in for a year. We'll get into that later. But for sake of ease, you go through underwriting, you get approved. Now you have a property. You want the bank to finance that property. That goes through the second phase, which is called going through loan committee. Okay? That's the second phase, going through loan committee. Here's what happens in loan committee. At loan committee, the bankers, there's a room of, depends on the area, depends on the bank. There's a room with 8 to 10 people, maybe 12, in a room, in a locked room, and every week they meet. It might meet on Thursdays, might meet on Mondays, might meet on Fridays, doesn't matter. They meet once a week. Most banks, some banks only meet every 2 weeks. But they sit down and every banker gets to submit the deals that they want to get financed, okay? Now, guess what? There's a vote. There's a vote on whether or not you get to get that loan financed. It is not always up to the banker, although in one certain circumstance, it is up to the banker. I'm going to teach you that later. Again, guys, there's so much with the banking world. There's so many secrets and tips and tricks that I can't give them all to you in one day or we'd be on this thing for 5 hours straight. But there's a certain circumstance where you can get the banker to make the decision without loan committee. I'm going to teach you that later. But in most cases, that loan officer submits the loan and then the board votes on it. Everybody goes around the room, votes yes or no. And then if it's a majority deal, if the majority says yes, you're approved. That's how it works. So get this. Think about this. If you hand it in handwritten, here's what my rent rolls are, here's what my properties, to the underwriter, and the underwriter has to do all the work for you to figure out if these houses cash flow, and then your banker is unconfident. Like, he's not confident. You submitted crap financials. They were not organized. You don't know if he doesn't know if you can pay or not. And then he goes in a loan committee and he's got to sell. He's a salesman. He's selling you and he's selling the board. He's got to step in there and sell that he'll put his name behind the loan that he wants you to get. And if somebody in loan committee says, whoa, wait a minute here. Wait, what's this guy have? And why do you think, why is this a good deal? If he didn't submit the deal right and doesn't have the right financials backing him, and that salesman gets rocked a little bit with a few questions that he can't answer confidently, the board will pick up on his lack of confidence and they'll just vote no, and you don't get it. But if you submit this stuff the right way and you build confidence, not only with your relationship with the banker, but also with the confidence that you built that you're going to pay this back, and look at all the great financials I put together. Look at this pro forma. This is what this property is going to do. Like, if you build that, guess what? He's going to walk into loan committee confident. When somebody asks him a question, hey, what about this? He says, no. I already talked about this. Look on page 3 of this thing that I put together. It's right there. It's good. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Vote yes. Yes. I was there's a bank in the Quad Cities that I used to do a lot of loans with. And there was this now I was told this by, building close enough relationships with bankers, you get to find out all this stuff. But there was this old guy at this bank, and he was very, very well respected. I've never met the guy. Even to this day, they gave me millions and millions and millions of dollars of loans. Never met this one particular guy. I don't even know what his name is off the top of my head. But he was the oldest guy in the group. He was on the board. He's probably in his 70s. And this guy turned down everybody. When you walked into when you were, as a banker, walked into loan committee to try to get a loan approved, this old guy voted no on everybody. He always just voted no. He didn't like anybody. And for some reason, and I think it's the way my financials were presented, he's never met me. I've never had a conversation with him. But the way my financials, every time a loan came through with my name on it, he said yes. And because he said yes, and he was the elder, everybody else voted yes. And my banker used to say, man, I was really nervous about submitting this particular loan on you because, it was maybe a more risky deal or whatever. But she's like, yeah, as soon as it got to this one guy, he said yes, and then everybody else just followed suit. This is how important this stuff is. So I just wanted you guys to understand that process. Your banker is not doing your underwriting. Somebody else is. And your banker has to sell you and the loan you want to do to the board. Okay? That's the process. It's important you understand that, because in the process of you getting loans, you have to be thinking, what can I plant in this guy's mind that he'll use to sell the board on my loan and me? Always be thinking that. Okay, so again, we're gonna jump into the PFS here in a minute, but I just wanted to cover a few of these really important things. The other thing too, as I want to tell you guys, is if you get turned down, if you get approved in underwriting and it goes to the board and you get turned down, ask why. Always ask why. Never just say, oh, okay, well, at least I tried. If your banker calls you, hey, your loan didn't get approved through committee, always ask why. Well, what could I have done different? Or what about the deal didn't people like? Understand there's a committee, and then ask why, because then you can change your loan, you can change your presentation of that deal for the next bank you talk to. Does that make sense? Never just accept an answer, always ask questions. And then backing up from there, when you have a bank, and if you don't make it through underwriting, so first example, you made it through underwriting, but loan committee turned you down. This example is you didn't get through underwriting and you got turned down. Ask why. Ask why that is. Hey, what about my financials didn't they like? Well, your debt service coverage ratio was a little too low. Okay, well, maybe I can work on that. I'm going to teach you guys how to manipulate your debt service coverage ratio. It's really badass. So nobody does this stuff either. Again, this is just from me doing it so often. So always ask why and then fix the issue. And especially, you need to hit me up if you get turned down. Hit me up. I'll help you through it because I know all the tricks. Okay. Let me see here, my notes. Got to build confidence. Now, one thing that most people think is important, and it is important. I'm not going to say it's not important, but it's not as important as most people think, is your credit score. Okay. Credit score is important. You want to have strong credit, but when it comes to getting loans, it's the asset, you guys. It's your ability to repay, but it's the asset. Now, if somebody I've seen, this is no BS. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I own the largest bar in the Quad Cities. This building is, I think it's like 20,000 square feet. Now, I don't own the business. I own the building, okay? And right next door to this bar that I own is another bar. And a few years ago, the owner got foreclosed on. Now, this guy was a rock star investor. He owned this building, and the business went down, and he couldn't keep the bar running. So he just let it go back to the bank. And I'm thinking, this guy owns hundreds of properties. He's an idiot for letting a foreclosure hit his credit. Now, think about this, guys. How many people do you know where the foreclosure's on their record and they still get loans every single day? You ever heard of it? You ever heard of that happening? Most people haven't. I hadn't at this point either. This is probably 2013. I couldn't believe it. So I started asking questions. I'm like, I tracked everything. I was like, hey, he got foreclosed on, then you guys gave him a loan 2 weeks later. How's that possible? Well, because we felt that he was still a strong credit risk. He was good, there was very little risk. I'm like, yeah, but he just got foreclosed on. Well, we looked at his credit was crap at this point, right? But we understood that situation, and we looked at all of his other assets, and it still makes sense. So that's my point, You don't have to have perfect credit. I've seen people submit loans with perfect credit, not submit the loan right, gets turned down. I've seen people submit the same exact thing with a 600 credit score and get accepted. Seen it happen. Credit score isn't as important as people think. In certain circumstances it is, a lot of circumstances it's not. Banks like this. Credit score, you guys, credit score is a joke. I'm going to teach you guys over the next few weeks how to totally manipulate your credit score. And basically you can get whatever credit score you want, really. There's so many ways to trick the system. But what banks really look at, they don't care about your credit. What they want to look at is, do you have cash flow or income? Do you have a strong liquidity? And do you have net worth? And I'm going to teach you all that stuff. Okay. So let's jump into it. I'm going to go ahead. Looks like Ryan jumped in here, which is good. Ryan, you missed some good stuff, man, but you got the recording at the end, so you'll be good. Okay. I am going to share my screen. Hang on here. Hang with me a minute here, guys. Go down here. Put this here. Okay. Go back here. Okay, here we go. All right. Share. Okay. Oh, man, what do we do here? Let's bring that down here. Okay. All right, you guys can see me, right? All right, you can see my screen? Mm-hmm. All right, so I just made it so I can't see you guys. So somebody unmute yourself and tell me that you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Anyone?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, yeah. Okay, guys. Hang with me. I've made it small. You guys all, I can't see you guys anymore, mainly because I want to be able to see my whole screen and move around, but okay, so here is the PFS, the personal financial statement that you guys are going to get, that you're going to use now until forever. Now, this was built by a banker that I was working with, and as my portfolio was growing, he started helping me because I didn't know how to organize my assets. And since he did this, every other bank I've submitted it to said this is the greatest thing ever. So I just got some fake stuff up here. I want to show you this example, but you're going to take this and you're going to fill your properties in. So let's go through this real quick. Okay, so see this first property here. It's a fourplex. Here's how this is laid out. So every time you close a property, every time you buy one that goes in your portfolio, every time you buy one, even if you're going to fix and flip it, put it in here. You're going to put the address in here. You're going to fill in the rent. Okay, what rent comes in? Now, you'll see this first one I did is a fourplex. Here's the rent that comes in. Here's the mortgage on the property. Everybody has a smartphone now. You guys, you just need to go in and download do a search in your app store for a mortgage calculator. You don't need to buy anything. They're free. Download a mortgage calculator on your smartphone. And whatever the loan amount is, you'll see the mortgage balance here. Whatever that is, and again, I've just got different numbers in there. By the way, I have not made this so it all works out mathematically on the mortgage balance and the payment. I'm using this as an example. So you do your mortgage balance, or however much the loan amount is. You do it on whatever the bank is talking. Now, on the debt service coverage ratio, we're going to get into this in a second. On this debt service number, very, very important number. Almost nobody knows how to figure it. This sheet figures it for you and does it globally, plus per property. And this is the most important number your bank cares about. They really don't care about anything else, okay? So one trick you can do, when you're doing your mortgage, one trick, you want your debt service coverage ratio number to be as high as possible. Write this down. Your bank wants to see a minimum of 1.2. Okay, see this property here? This property, 2400 3rd Street, Commonsville, has a 1.2 debt service coverage ratio. This would be the bare minimum. And in talking to bankers, that number that they want to see is moving up, is going to be moving towards 1.25. Okay, they're going to be bumping that number up as a minimum, but 1.2 is the lowest you want to be, and that number is going to soon be 1.25. So write that down. Anything higher than 1.2 is considered very, very strong. You get to 1.8, the property is rock star. Okay. 1.8, you get, so anything 1.2, so you get to 1.5, that's amazing. 1.8, that's rock star. You get to 2.0, man, you're getting the loan. I'm just telling you, it's happening. Somebody's got, somebody mute yourself, Ryan. I think that's you. Mute yourself there. I can hear you typing. So make sure, so one trick you can do, if the bank says, here's how to play with your debt service coverage ratio and make it go up very quickly. If the bank says, hey, we'll do a loan for you, it's got to be on a 20-year amortization. Write this down. The shorter the amortization, the harder it is to hit a debt service coverage ratio of 1.2 or better. I do all my loans on 20-year amortizations, mainly because I'm so good at buying them cheap. Buying the house is cheap. It does not matter what my amortization is. I'm still going to cash flow at a very high debt service coverage ratio. But when I was beginning, I wasn't as good. And so one of the things you can do, you can ask your banker, you can say, hey, I'd rather do the loan on a 25 or a 30-year amortization, but let's adjust the payment as if it was a 20-year amortization. Okay, this is a relationship piece. Here's why you want to do it that way. Looks like Mark just joined us too. Hey, Mark. Mark, you missed some good stuff, man, but you've got the recording, so you'll be able to jump back in here and watch this. We're covering some pretty good stuff here. So, again, if you do a 30-year amortization, but tell your banker to change the payment to a 20-year payment, what you're doing is you're still paying the loan on a 20-year like they're asking, but when they figure your debt service coverage ratio, they're going to figure it off of 30 years. You'll automatically get a bump. Now, I'm not saying you can pull this off every single time, but I've been very successful at doing this, and this massively affects my debt service coverage ratio, and it's helped me a lot with a strong DSCR. Now, what is a debt? I probably jumped around a little bit. What does debt service coverage ratio mean? Here's what it means, guys. It's not hard. What you need to do, what debt service coverage ratio is you take the rent minus the taxes. So I skipped over this mortgage. Okay, I'm just going to walk through this with you. Again, we can ask questions. I don't want to go too fast. I know I'm sharing a lot of stuff with you guys that you've never seen before, but you take the rent minus the taxes, minus the insurance, minus the property management, minus your maintenance reserve. And that's going to give you a net operating income. Okay, we haven't touched the mortgage yet. Okay, so once you take that, once you have the rent minus taxes, minus insurance, minus property management, minus maintenance, you'll have a number, okay? Then you divide that number by your mortgage payment, okay? That gives you your debt service coverage ratio. And what the debt service coverage ratio teaches you about the property is, does the property cash flow strong enough that, considering all the expenses, it still makes money on a 20% reserve? When you look at just monthly cash flow, you can't tell that yet. It just gives you a number. If I just looked at this property, oh man, this property's great. It cash flows me $85 a month. But does it compared to the debt on the property? Okay, does that make sense? Do you guys have any questions on that? Debt service coverage ratio, if you present a property to a bank and you tell them, hey, I just want to let you know I've got this property. It's a great property. It's in a great location. It's rehab nice. And it cash flows at a 1.6 debt coverage ratio. First of all, they can't believe you actually brought up debt service coverage ratio. Nobody does that. Secondly, the fact that it's a 1.6 and you know that it's a 1.6, I'm telling you guys, it's a downhill battle from there. It's easy. Nobody talks about this. Do you guys have any questions on debt service coverage ratio?
I got a question.
Sure, shoot.
The mortgage payment that you have on the spreadsheet, is that the 30-year amortization? Is that
Again, I use this as just an example, but Victor, but yeah, you would use your 30-year amortization in this sheet, not the 20-year payment you're making. Correct.
to show a lower payment?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
So so debt service rate, again, this property shows a 3 again, this is all examples, you guys. These are fake properties, but this shows a 3.29. Like you present a 3.29 to your banker and they're like, yeah, we're giving you the loan. It doesn't matter what messes up on this thing, it cash flows. You bring this 1.2 to them, probably going to start asking you some questions, right? It's not quite, it's strong enough. It passes their minimums, but they might ask you some questions. You get to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, and it's like no brainer. Yes, we like that deal. So by the way, guys, when you get this sheet, I haven't locked anything so you can mess around. But if you click on this, I don't know how much you guys do with spreadsheets. I'm definitely not a guru, but if you click on the debt service coverage, you can see my formula down here on figuring it all out. Okay. You can see all that down here in case you ever had another question on it. Yeah, I'm going to give it to Ty. He's going to give it to you. So here's what I've done in this sheet again. So as you do properties, you'll put your property address in here. You put the rent that it's going to have. You put your mortgage payment. You base the mortgage payment off of whatever amortization that your banker wants you to do, unless you've renegotiated and said, hey, I want to put a 30-year amortization, but I'll make a 20-year payment. You put that in, put your property taxes in broken down by month. You put your insurance in broken down by month. You put your property management in broken down by month. You put your maintenance reserve in there broken down by month. You get a cash flow. This automatically figures it for you guys. This sheet will figure the cash flow for you. Then it'll also automatically figure your debt service coverage ratio. You put your mortgage balance in here. And every month, if you want to be like me, I don't do this now. I have my CFO do this. But one of my most fun things was every month I would pay a payment. I would ask my bank to automatically send me my new mortgage balance once a month for me. And they would send me my new mortgage balance, and then I'd go from 126,677 to maybe 126,233. And all of a sudden, I owe less money. The value of the property's there. My net worth went up. On a 20-year amortization payment, you're gonna pay off about 3% of that payment every year, and that's an average number. In the beginning, it's a little less, and it grows more than that. But I love watching this net worth. And what happens is on this sheet is this net worth gets transferred down here, so you can watch your net worth grow as you're paying off, every month. So maybe this one goes from 63,252 to 62,920 or 35. It's kind of neat to just watch. Now, when you change your payment, like this one goes from 40,000, for example, I'm going to take this one from 40,000 to 35,000. Look, my debt service coverage ratio didn't change. You know why? Because my payment's the same, right? Paying down the debt doesn't change your debt service coverage ratio. It just increases your net worth. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So what this sheet does, every time you get a property, you're going to load in your expenses. It's going to figure out your debt service coverage ratio. You get to see put the value in, what it comps out at. Here's your mortgage balance, and you can see your net worth. Your net worth gets tracked down here. Now, this just talks about the properties. In most cases, 95% of the people do not have this, never will. They hand a banker a piece of paper with handwritten, here's what my rent rolls are. This section automatically puts you in front of everybody. Now, the next section blows their mind. So the next section talks about your assets and your liabilities. Again, nobody does it this way. I have never seen any other person have this type of spreadsheet that figures all of this stuff out. You guys will have this now. So let's talk about what you're going to put in your assets. Now, again, this is just an example. My actual PFS is, 10 times longer than this, but I wanted to give you an example of what you should put on here. You should have, here's what bankers want to see. They want to see income. They want to see cash flow. They want to see net worth, and they want to see liquidity, okay? Show it to them. Make their life easy. Get approved for loans really, really easy. Put your cash on hand here. Go pull it right out of your bank once a month, update it, put your cash on hand. And if you only have $1,000, who cares? Put it on there. You've got to start building this. Now, let's say you have an asset like maybe cash value life insurance. I personally I love cash value life insurance. I love the benefits of it. I love the future value of it. I like them. Some people say it's stupid. I don't care. All my wealthiest friends have cash value life insurance. So I built policies. Jack, you're a pretty young guy. If you're ever going to do something like this, now's the time because you can get amazing rates because of your age. The older I get, I'm going to be 45 in like 21 days. It's harder and harder. My premiums go up. It's harder to get, the older you get, it's just a little harder. So you can build cash value life insurance. And as you build the value, plug it in here. Bankers like to see it. If you forget to do this stuff, guys, if you forget to put your cash on hand, if you forget to put your cash value life insurance, the bank's not seeing your liquidity, you're less likely to get approved. Stack the odds in your favor. I personally like silver. I'm not saying I put a lot of money into silver, but I like to buy silver. So I put like the ounces I have, I take it times what the spot price is, and I put it in here. If you've got rental, real estate rental reserves, if you got a reserve account somewhere, put it on here. Again, bankers like to see reserves. They want to know you're safe. If you have an IRA, you could put, if you've been building your IRA for 20 years or whatever, and it's got value, put it on here. Again, most people forget about this. If you have a CD, a certificate of deposit that you bought 5 years ago, 1 year ago, yesterday, it doesn't matter. It's got value to it, guys. It's cash. It's liquid. Bankers like to see it. The next one, if you've got like, I didn't even spell it right, John Deere mower. If you have fix that. If you have a mower at your house, again, people might think this is ridiculous. It's not. It's smart. It's stacking your assets. You have stuff at your house worth money. Put it on here. Your John Deere mower, you bought it for $4,000. Now, let's say you didn't pay cash for it. I'm not saying this is smart, by the way. I'm just saying I'm using this as an example. But let's say, hey, I got this brand new lawnmower and I put a loan on it for $2,000. Well, here's the cool part about this. You've got your liabilities and you got your assets. The mower is an asset. It's worth $4,000, but you have a liability attached to that asset, which is a loan, which means that loans I owe $2,000. And maybe next month you pay it down, you make a payment, and it goes to $1,925. You update it, and your net worth grows. Okay, so if you have a loan against that, then put it on. Maybe you have miscellaneous carpentry tools. Now I'm just using this as an example, guys. But you have stuff in your garage worth value. If you got assets, put it on here. This strengthens your PFS. This strengthens your net worth. If you don't list it, the bank doesn't know you have it. And if they don't know you have it, you don't look as strong. These are little tips and tricks that will absolutely get you approved. I got a dump trailer. Okay, it's worth $6,000. I don't have a loan on it. I got carpentry tools. Hey, I bought a Rolex. It's $10,000. I don't owe any money on it. That builds your net worth. Okay, I got a golf cart. And the golf cart's worth $6,000, but I have a $2,500 payment on it. I owe $2,500 on the thing. And then next month you make a payment. Now it's $2,317. Okay, great. My net worth just went up. You have, you've got your vehicle. Maybe you get a 2019 Ford F-150. It's worth $40,000. Holy crap, I owe $45,000. Not good. Okay, but it is what it is. But this keeps it in front of you and gives you the ability to be aware of what's happening with your financial picture. Man, you just flipped a house and I made $10,000. Why don't you throw $5,000 of it against this Ford, make your PFS look better? And I'm not saying that bank, car loans and stuff, if you've got if you've got a net worth of, $547,000, this makes no difference at all. Okay. It's not going to hurt you. It's not enough to matter. But then I got this 2015 Subaru and it's worth, it's an asset. It's worth $15,000 and I only have a $6,000 loan. Okay. Well, that's what it is. but next month I'm gonna make a payment. I'm gonna be down to $5,856, whatever. Keep track every month. Keep track. Well, I have this 12 gauge shotgun. It's worth $350. Guess what, guys? Put it on your PFS. It adds to your net worth, and it's something you can sell and make money from. Again, and what about your appliances? Most people forget about this. You have all these houses up here, and all these houses have refrigerators, have stoves, might have a microwave in there, may have a dishwasher. Those appliances you can count towards your net worth. Put it on there. You don't owe anything on them. It's worth $10,000. That makes your PFS stronger. You can get, Tyler just asked how granular can you go. Guys, if you have something of value that you can sell, now don't inflate. If I've got, you know, a stove that I paid $450 for, I'm not going to be able to sell that stove for $450. It's worth $250. I could put it on Facebook Marketplace and get $250 for it. Fine. You have to be able to explain this, you guys. But if it has value, put it on here. Your Mac, you know, like if you have a laptop, if you have a printer, if you have a TV, if you have computer and office, extra screens and stuff, that has value. You can sell that stuff and it's worth real money. So get granular enough. I mean, obviously, if I had a toaster that was worth $10, I'm probably not going to list that on my PFS. But if it's got real value, I put this gun on here, this 12 gauge shotgun that's worth $350. The reason why I added a gun is because this gun that's worth $350 in 20 years going to be worth $350. It never goes down in value. It might even go up in value. But like if you get too granular and put your toaster on there and it's worth $15 today, it's going to be worth, in 5 years, it's going to be worth $1. It's not worth putting on here. So what this sheet does, hang on a second, I got to get a drink of water. What this sheet does is it adds up everything you put here, everything, all the way down, builds your total assets, okay? Now, over here, you've got your liabilities. Another thing too, guys, that's not on here that you should add is your house, right? You own your house. By the way, if you need to show you how easy this is, do this right here. So click here, add a row below. My house, 123 High Street. Okay, my house is an asset. It's worth $350,000, and I owe $150,000. Okay, we'll put it on there. Now changes your picture. Guess what? Your net worth just jumped up. So make sure you have your house listed in there. But all this is added up. And then at the bottom here, it gives your total assets. And this minuses your liabilities over here. Okay? You've got this mortgage and this payment here, or this, loan on these different odds and ends. It adds up here, it goes here, it gives you your net assets. Your net assets jump over here. And it takes now your assets along with the net worth of your properties, adds them together. Now here's your net worth, total net worth. This sheet is powerful, you guys. You've got to be tracking this stuff. You send this PFS to a bank and you're asking for a loan and it looks like you've got a strong PFS and you're tracking everything and it's laid out and you got your debt service coverage ratio set up, boom, it's much more likely to get approved.
You just send them an Excel PDF, or do you send them something a little better?
Ty just asked, do you send them I guess can they hear you through the phone? Say that again.
Do you send them like an Excel export or PDF or something?
You send them this Excel sheet filled out.
You don't like dial it up or anything?
No, this is it. This is just like mine, guys. Mine's just got a lot more properties on it, a lot more assets and stuff down here. But this is what it is. You build up and it shows, again, when a banker walks into loan committee and he has this and he hands this, they'll print it out. and they'll hand it out to all the bankers like, well, this guy's got it figured out. He's got some good debt service coverage ratio on his properties. He's got assets. He's got a positive net worth. Yeah, let's give him the loan. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I'm telling you, when I started doing this, I went from owning 30 properties to 450 properties in my portfolio in about 4 years. Very, very powerful. I'm gonna stop the share so I can see you guys again. Did all that make sense, you guys? Do you have any questions on any of that? Or did I just explain it so amazing that you guys got it the first try? That good stuff? Did you guys learn a lot today?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool. Ryan, you got any questions? Mark? What?
Yeah, I have a question. If you're, here, I'll throw video on if you want. If you're, if you also have a job, would you put your income on there as well?
This doesn't include your income from a job. This is only just your assets and liabilities and your properties. Your income will go on your tax returns. They'll see it there.
Okay.
So yeah, good question, Mark.
Thanks.
So any other questions on any of this stuff? Does Tyler? I'm going to send this to Tyler. Tyler will.
I'm gonna make it so I can copy it for you guys, and you guys can duplicate it. You can mess around with it. That way you don't mess up everyone else's.
Yeah, and if you guys you guys will have your own here, and you'll have it. And if for some reason you mess up a cell or formula or something, just hit us up, and we'll give you another one. But save, like, you should just copy and save this for one for you to keep. Anybody else have any questions on anything? Robbie, do you have a question? Ryan, do you have a question? Well, cool, guys. So here's the thing is, I know some of you guys jumped in late. Guys, you missed some really good stuff. So go back and watch the rest of the first part. I explained some really, really valuable stuff to get loans. So again, this is a big first step. Now we've got 3 more of these sessions to go through this month. Plus, in like 10, 12 days, I'm going to be handing you guys the finished book with a whole bunch of great stuff in it too. So I just want to stack the odds in your favor, but this is a good first step. If you guys don't have any other questions, last chance, I'm going to jump off, but we're going to send this stuff to you. Yep, go ahead.
You mentioned guidance. I know you said you're going to kind of cover it later on in the course, a guidance line of credit. What's that? Is that something in
I'll
addition?
do, and I'm going to go into this. I'm going to tease you a little bit on what it is, but I'm going to go into it in a lot more depth in another session. But what it is most people, when they want to get a loan on a property, they take property by property and they try to get approved. What I do is I go to a bank and say, listen, I want to get approved for $1 million. And in that $1 million, I'm going to do however many houses I can do up to $1 million. Okay. So I get approved once for as many properties as I can do for $1 million or $2 million, whatever. It's called a guidance line. I'm going to tell you how to get it approved and all the details, but that's what it is, Victor. Is a guidance line is, instead of just going property by property, I want to get approved. You pick a number. You say, hey, I want to get approved for $250,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, whatever you feel comfortable with, and just say, as I do properties, I want to get approved once. As I do properties, we'll just roll through them once I've been approved for this amount, and once I hit that limit, we're done with that loan. That's what a guidance line is.
It shortens the closing.
Shortens the closings. You don't have to get reapproved. Here's the big part. What if something happens to you financially? If you get this guidance line for, $500,000 and something happens to you financially in 3 months, and this guidance line is good for a year, you're still locked in. You're still getting those loans. You're still closing those deals. It just pre-locks you in for a predetermined amount of time, for a predetermined amount of money. Reason why I came up with this originally and why I learned how to do it is because I was moving fast. And, banks were giving me loans, loan by loan, and I'd have, 30 houses in the pipeline to close pending that haven't closed yet. And all of a sudden the bank's like, hey man, we're a little uncomfortable. You've grown so fast. We've got to pull back. And I'm like, yeah, but I got all these loans that I got to close in the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I know, but this is just where we're at. So I'm like, I'm not dealing with that anymore. I want to get pre-approved for X amount of dollars, and I'm always safe.
Okay.
So we'll go into more detail in that and how to get it set up and all the details. But yeah, that's one of the things we'll talk about. I got all kinds of little tips and tricks to share with you guys. Any other questions today, anybody? You guys good? Make sure whoever missed the first part fast weekend, and we'll go from there. Everybody good to go? All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. Thanks for joining. If you have any other questions, hit me up.
I got one thing.
Oh,
Thanks,
Tyler's
Matt.
got to say something.
Hey guys, the replay is going to be in realestatemap.com in your library. So make sure you can get signed in there and then go to the bank financing guide, and I'll put it in there in a separate section. So if you can't get signed in, hit me up at my email. It's hello@realestatemap.com, and then I can help you set that up.
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler.
Cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right, guys.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.